So the session is titled Applying Location to BFSI, but I'm going to talk generally about the commercial enterprise, and like Agendra has set the tone in the afternoon session, this is more about how we've helped some of the organizations build and deploy a location strategy in their business. So the first, I guess, is we've already gone through this earlier, but what's the point, right? The point that everyone's been making so far, and I'm sure you would have realized, is that location is important. No matter which industry you're in, whether it's retail, banking, insurance, telecom, location actually plays a critical role in every business today, whether it's on profitability, sales, marketing, or even on risk and operations. So the biggest example is if you look at your phone today, I would guarantee you that there are at least 3 apps that use location as a core context of the application. So if you take any of these examples, Food Panda searches for restaurants near you, right? So it's taking a GPS location and trying to identify what might be close to you. And it also suggests, based on the food you liked before, what you might want to order in the future. So it's analytics and it's location based. But what about enterprises? So I like this cutout from Dilbert. So it says, my only hope for productivity is to smuggle my home laptop in. So having worked in corporate before, I know that I've also faced this situation where my laptop or my mobile phone even is more powerful than the desktop machine that I have that my enterprise is giving me. So there's a disconnect, right? So on my phone, I have such powerful applications that's taking advantage of my GPS, that's taking advantage of location and giving me insight. Like today, and I love Delhi traffic, today when I was coming from home, it was showing me live that I can take a different route to get faster. Now that's incredible processing, application, and UI that makes it so easy for me to find the quickest way to reach my destination. If I try doing that in my enterprise, first I have to set up a server, then I have to load the data, then I have to hire a GIS analyst, and then I have to run the analysis, and then 3 months later I have the results. So there's something going wrong, right? And today there's a huge amount of change that's happening, and the change is hurting a lot of people, or it's challenging a lot of people, but I think these are some good challenges. So if we look at some other things that have happened, demonetization, so regulatory changes, there's alternative payment systems, mobile banking is now kind of, that's the norm. Today morning I had to pay someone urgently. As I was going in the car, I was just sending the payment across. Even 2 years ago, I would not have trusted the mobile network to be reliable enough for me to complete the transaction. But all this is happening easily today without even me thinking about it. Consumer expectations. So this is where the kind of paradox really, really jars, right? Your consumers or the people who you are servicing expect an Uber kind of experience, right? And if you have to deliver that Uber kind of experience, then you need that context relevant data to be powering the systems that you're giving access to people. And so because of consumer expectation, you need to be delivering applications or experiences that are as easy to use as, let's say, Uber. And finally, there's disruptions from startups, and this should not be underestimated. There are a lot of big banks who are seriously, setting up accelerator programs, incubation hubs, some of which we have also participated in. Startups are causing a lot of disruption, but good disruption. So they're showing that actually there is a different way of doing what you were doing before. So what does all this mean? And the biggest talked about innovation and the biggest disruptor I think today is mobile, and it's going to be for the next few years until we get into Google Glasses or embedded systems. But mobiles has completely changed the game. Why? Because of one main thing. It offers me location data. So for geography, I'm talking about a geographical context. It offers me location data of anywhere, wherever the device is, I have the location of that device. What a powerful thing, right? In the way that you need to deliver services back. And earlier the gentleman from Reliance was talking about how the entire field force was mobile enabled. That's only because they are now used to using mobiles in their homes, they also want to use it at work. And to drive mobile adoption, you need location data or you need maps, right? Otherwise, a mobile without a map is almost inconceivable today. And there are a lot of other things related. So for example, one of the things that Food Panda or Zomato does very well is give you context relevant information, right? So I build on the layer that I already have. Once I have my location, I can start layering that up in many different ways. So maps also give me insight. So for example, which customer segments are in my area? Where is your business most exposed? Where can you gain the most competitive advantage? So where are your risks? Where are your opportunities? Where are your competitors? And then how can you take advantage of that? Where do people most want your services? So we worked with a very interesting financial services company who was saying that I have products, longer than I can even think of, but I don't know which ones do well in which places. So we went away, did a study, and came back and said, actually, you only need to push these 3 products in these areas and these 5 products in these areas, and they immediately saw a fantastic turnaround in the kind of uptake of those products. Where should I be doing better? So branch performance analysis. So SBI are currently undertaking the largest project I have seen in kind of merging all the entities into one company. Can you imagine the kind of decisions that they have to take in terms of which bank branch to close when there are 4 on the same street, right? So these are the interesting use cases for applying location and context relevant analytics. The other one is what factors control profitability in 2 cities, let's say Mumbai versus Chennai. Or the one I like to say is within Bandra, Shah Rukh Khan lives there and there is Dharavi. So I can't treat Bandra as Bandra, right? I need to cut it down into finer segments. And that's the real power of location. So if we boil everything down into what we would, or this is my kind of attempt at defining how we embed the where question in an enterprise. So critically, what does location mean inside your enterprise? So I'll take a minute for you to kind of read this diagram. So in the bottom, in the green box, there are 3 kind of pillars of location that we think adds value to any enterprise. The first is strategic. So strategic is basically about how do I plan my operations, how do I do my sales, which areas do I focus, what products do I market. So strategically, geography helps me define where I should push what products. Tactical. Tactical is all about how do I improve or how do I reduce the risk to my business, whether it is about targeting lower risk customers, or it is about let's say opening businesses in areas where I expect better profitability. So that is how do I make interventions at a tactical level so that I am able to reduce my overall cost. The final is operational. So operational is very obvious because you have, let's say, field force who you have to manage optimally. You have collections who have to go and visit customers. So how do I reduce the time that the agent spends on the field? At the same time, how do I make sure that the customer has the best experience possible? So these are the kind of 3 pillars that I think geography plays a very critical role. And the top line is also equally important. Now, before me, Pradeep was supposed to talk about integration. So that is one of the key components of actually enabling the enterprise to use geography. And the reason we think that is because we don't want someone to install a new, GIS viewer tool in addition to his Tableau and Click and Oracle, and then ask him to learn that tool and then perform his job. Like, no one has the time to do that. So what we are saying is we will help you integrate your existing BI, CRM, ERP with the GIS data and the analytics so that you only have to continue using that one tool that you're already comfortable with. And that's a critical point, that unless you integrate that with your end user in mind, it's not going to be a successful implementation. The next is corporate IQ. So that is all about you guys. So you know your company, your industry the best. Not us, not Esri, not anyone else knows that better. So it's critical that we build capacity in the organization so that you guys are able to deliver value back to the business. And so we enable, a build, operate, and transfer so that we come in along with Esri, build the tools that you require, build the workflows, and then build the capacity within the organization to take that to the next level. And then finally, analytics. So analytics is a big word, right? Everyone's talking about analytics. This is another type of analytics, but the key differentiator is that it is all about spatial. So how do we automate, how do we analyze, how do we map, how do we visualize using geography? And it all comes under the broader vision of analytics, but it's a key component. So if you already have an analytics, what I'm trying to say is if you already have an analytics division or some kind of strategic move towards analytics, that's great, because we really are talking about analytics here. And we're just adding a dimension, which is geo, to existing analytics platforms. Now, one more thing that many people ask me is, okay, I want to do this, embedding the where in my platform. I want to build on, what I've already got. What does it mean? What is actual core steps in getting geo enabled? So according to me, these are the 3 main steps. So the first is geocoding or geotagging. which is basically taking an address and putting it on the map, so which is getting the XY of an address. The second is analytics and visualization, which is what we get through the Esri platform and through other visualization tools that are available. And the third is, once you have figured out what you want to analyze and how you want to deliver, integrate that back so that your users have a seamless experience. So let's talk about these in a little detail. So geocoding, I've heard, so how many of you understood what geocoding means? Okay, so most of you, right? So that's basically taking my address and putting it onto the map. So maybe take an Excel spreadsheet like that, where I have customer addresses or branch addresses, and then creating a map like you can see on the right. Now the problem with geocoding, of course, in India, even with Google Maps, when I type in the address, it doesn't find, most of the time, I find a lot of difficulty in trying to find the exact place. So geocoding is a problem that can be solved, okay? All it requires is a massive survey, and it requires an engine that allows you to pass the address and create the XY. But it's not yet complete, and in India, there's so many new buildings, there's so much new development that it's very difficult for providers to keep pace with this data capture. So what we suggest is a horses for courses approach. So if your analysis is, let's say, trying to identify the general area where I should open a branch, then I would argue you don't need rooftop level geocoding, right? You only need geocoding up to, let's say, sub-locality or street. And the really interesting thing with geocoding is that the first 80%, so getting from a country to a state, to a city, to a pin code, to a sub-locality, that 80% work takes me only 5% of the cost. The remaining 20% will take 95% of the cost and the time. So think about this when you are trying to implement geocoding in the enterprise, because I guarantee you that's the first thing that you have to do before doing any kind of analytics with geo. And when you're making that decision, think about what is the end goal that you're trying to achieve. Do you actually need rooftop level, or are you okay with locality? Do you actually need that level of accuracy to deliver the use case that you want? Because in many cases, you may save a lot of money and time by just doing it at the level that you require to deliver value back to the business. Remember what Agendra said, it's important to show value as soon as you make an investment in this new technology. The next bit is analytics and visualization, and I'm not going to spend much time because you've seen a lot of this stuff today, and you'll see more tomorrow. So the Esri platform provides me enough and more capabilities. In fact, out of the 100% of the tools that are available, even I've only used maybe 20-30% of the tools, right? So you've got so much of richness of tools, visualization techniques, different applications, that you really, your imagination is what will limit you in terms of what kind of use cases you can think of for your business. I'll spend some time here. Integration is very key because, like I said, you want one system and you want your users to experience that one system in a simple and effective way. So how do you pull and push data between GIS and the enterprise application? How do you enable a CRM, ERP, asset management to achieve greater productivity by accessing these GIS web services? How do you maintain data in one system? I mean, that's like the holy grail for any DBA, right? So how do I take this GIS data, how do I take my customer data, and how do I kind of make it talk to each other so that I only have to maintain, the minimum number of databases that I need to? And I guess the most important one in going forward is how do I enable real-time communication? So like again, the Reliance example, as the field engineer is inputting data in his tablet, the manager is getting updates on his, on his backend dashboard. All this is possible. There are bridges between the Esri application to, I would say, the 95% of all the major BI, CRM, asset management system. So there's an Esri connector for SAP, there's an Esri connector for Cognos. You can even put maps in Microsoft Excel, Power BI, Jack mentioned earlier. So you can make use of these connectors, and we are, as Geospoc, actually, we help in building these integrations so that you have a seamless experience of both the GIS as well as the existing systems in your enterprise. So one thing that Anil mentioned as I was kind of preparing for this session was talk about what we've done. So this is an example of a leading financial services customer who wanted to use GIS to enable better decision making in the enterprise. Their entire business model is basically giving unsecured loans to customers, and they give this at a rate of unimaginable proportion. So they get 10, 20,000 applications per day. So they need an automated system to decide which customers might be more likely to default and which customers might not. And before a GIS platform was thought of, it was just done through various other means. So they have credit scores, they have past history, they have education status, blah, 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 blah. So based on all these factors, they were making some assumptions and saying, okay, out of my 10,000 customers who I got today, I'm going to reject these 3,000 because I believe that they are more likely to default. But there was no science behind it. And they were noticing that there was an overall increase in the delinquency of their customer base. So we went in and told them about Geo and said, actually, if you look at the pattern of your defaulter base, you might come to see where there are certain areas in a city or in the country which are more likely to default than others. Use this as an additional variable in your analysis. It's not the end all, right? It's not like just because this area in Delhi is supposed to be bad or has history of delinquency, every other person applying from that area would be rejected. It's not like that. It is just a variable in their analysis which would help them decide better. And then what we did was, once we implemented it, we tested it for a couple of cities in India. And what they found was that a lot of their rejections were wrong rejections. So they were rejecting people without, who actually had a high percentage of paying back their loan. And so every single customer that they brought back in was a multiplier of 3,000 rupees per customer. So the ROI was almost instantaneous for them. And now they're extending this to other use cases. So one is, which products do I push in which place? So remember I told you, these guys have 20 products that they want to offer. Should I push a loan for a bike or a fridge or a mobile, and which area should I push them in? So this is the decisions that they're starting to make. And then how to optimize agents. So they have 20,000 agents across the country. Now that is a big cost. So the more I can optimize their travel and the more I can optimize their collections, the better profitability for me. So they are running this very successfully. We can tell you more in detail on a one-to-one basis. So finally, a little bit about Geospoc. So Anil mentioned we are a services partner for Esri, but we actually do a lot of an end-to-end consulting. So we start with data. So I mentioned geocoding. So we can advise you on geocoding and what kind of data preparation, where the data sources are, how do you combine them together. And then we also implement the Esri platform. We can help you build extensions. We can help you get your staff trained on the exact workflows that you need to deliver this platform successfully. And then integration is one of the most important places where we do a lot of work, where we take the power of the Esri platform and combine it with your existing infrastructure to deliver benefit back to the business. And of course, there may be ongoing, work and maintenance. We are happy to, support you and your enterprise vision for location. So that's our website. We have a stall there. Please come and visit us. If you need to know more, visit the website. I don't know if we have time for questions, Anil, or that's about all. Thank you.